What's up with the Ron and John show, right?
Tell us, what's up with the Ron and John show?
Hey, we're known coast to coast like butter and toast, brother. You know, we can make ISIS surrender or die, or make even Ed Sullivan look kind of fly. We can drink like we've been singing all night long, and we can sing like we've been drinking all night long. So if you're looking for a good time, don't you delay. Tune in to Ron and John show, because me and this other ranger, we lead the way.
Yeah.
See, I brought out my Pacific Island battle axe today.
You know, I see that because, you know, every time I bring out this hatchet here, you know, and I seen you've been eyeballing that thing, and I knew one time or another you're gonna have to break something out, and it's gonna be bigger. But you know, it's how you use it, though, isn't it? Isn't it how you use it?
Hey, brother, I'll tell you what. If this doesn't chop the head, it will definitely. It is a blunt trauma. Is coming with this thing, because you know it is just vicious, man. But it's kind of my new tool now. You know?
I feel like it should be. We need to have like you know, those episodes where they test out all the equipment, or the thing that you always like to ask somebody. You know, we could ask the hatchet, and you can ask yours. Can you kick his ass though? Can you kick his ass?
Oh yeah. So how you been, brother?
Oh, great, brother! It's been a phenomenal week. Obviously, rolling off of another amazing Ron and John show, heading into the weekend, which was a great weekend, right? We had an amazing 4th, watching everything blow up in the sky, and celebrating you know, our freedoms, and barbecue and good company. How was yours? You enjoy the family?
It was awesome. You know, so you know, I had the kids and grandkids over here. I'll tell you what, though, brother, I have been getting after, even more so than not, some killer PT. And you missed a good one Friday. I know, and I got to tell our audience, you know, how hard this 2nd Ranger Battalion guy is here, because I had Gladiator PT with my dang, you know, battle axe Friday, called Violence of Action. And where were you at during that PT session? You went fishing, man. What's up with that? You know?
I went fishing, and that's the thing. I went fishing. I didn't go catching. So, but still.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I had a great week, man, and you know, spending it with the kids and the grandkids, and just getting after a lot of good PT, and continue to get after the things that will allow me to, you know, hey, I think we all want to live forever, right?
Right.
But we know that's not going to happen. But the more we take care of ourselves, physically, mentally, emotionally, you know, it's well, you know, we're going to prolong it.
It comes down to staying as young as you can for as long as possible. That's really what it is, right?
Absolutely, man. And you know, the other thing is, you know, spending time with family is so important, because I think you and I both know that you know, some days, you know, you have good days or bad days, but when you have family with you, or somebody, you know, like our children that we can reach out to, and everything, it's so important. And you and I both know how important the military family is to the service member. And if we say the strength of our service, or the strength of our military is our service members, but the strength of our service members is our families, I think we cannot understate how important the families are to our military. And when you talk about all the deployments, all the field problems, all the stuff that comes with being in the military, and how spouses are there at the home front, steadily taking care of business, taking care of the kids and everything. And then if they're a dual military couple, even you know, more so, because now you've got both parents that are serving in uniform, they've got children, and now one may be going somewhere, one may be going the other. They might be going together, and now they have to have that, you know, provider for their kids and everything. So it's tough, man.
It is,
so,
yeah. All I'm just going to say is that they hold it down. You know, I mean, they hold it down. So, you know, one of actually, you know, Bernie Felino, he said it best at his retirement ceremony, I believe, where it was at his retirement ceremony. He said, you know, that she took care of the home front, the family's back there. Well, I get to go play with my friends, right? And you know,
that's right.
My hood and rat friends, right? but that's the thing, right? And that's what it is. We get to go play play Army and go do all the cool stuff and
Oh, yes.
and knowing that when we get back that everything is there, you know. So and that kind of brings us right into this week, right, brother?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you, man, we never give enough time to our military families, and so that's why I'm so excited on who we have as guests today. And you know, and so let's bring them on out. What do you think?
Let's bring them on out. Who we've got Jen McChrystal, live and direct, and
we got Army Warrant Officer, CW2, but military spouse, Jessica Bezanson.
Awesome. Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, ladies?
Thanks.
We're good.
Did you guys bring any weapons?
Yeah.
Living my best life.
You guys bring any toys or anything? I mean, like, you know, we got you. You know what? We got you. We got y'all covered.
Yeah, we got you covered.
Physically and virtually.
Yeah, mine's packed up. Mine's packed up.
Oh, come on, Jen. See, that's it. Now we're really gonna catch some shit right here, right? You know, stay strapped, don't get clapped. That's our motto.
I know. I'm sorry. I did tell Rob that.
Yeah.
So, hey, ladies, if you don't mind, Jen, we're going to start with you. If you could take a couple minutes to tell the audience who you are, and then Jess, will turn it over to you. Just a few minutes. I know you ladies don't like to talk about yourselves, but I think it's important our audience to know who you are. So, Jen, over to you.
Well, I'm just Jen. My husband just today relinquished command of 2nd Ranger Battalion out here at Fort Lewis. I'm sorry, Joint Base Lewis McChord.
Yeah.
And then we are in the middle of a PCS over to Pennsylvania. He has been in, oh God, I got to do some math, 18 years. And we've been together pretty much that whole time. So just living my best life.
Nice.
So I think he's attending the War College, right?
Yes. Yes. Super.
So I hope you got that honeydew list.
Yeah.
Hope you got that honeydew list ready, because he'll be doing a lot of studying, but he won't be going, you know, overseas for a year to, you know, kill any bad guys.
I have our 3-year-old twins, so
Boom.
he can honeydew that.
You can honeydew that. Take some turns, right? Take.
That's right.
Go switch through here and there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And so and you are you just relinquished command today, and you're back. I remember earlier we were talking that you're back home and the movers are there.
Yep, they're packing up day 2. They'll do day 3 tomorrow, and then the truck takes all of our precious things on Friday.
Man, day in the life.
I know.
All right, Jess, over to you.
Okay, so my name's Jessica Bezanson, and I'm married to recently frocked Adam Bezanson to Sergeant Major for the last 11 months. He's been in El Paso attending the Sergeant Major Academy, and I've been here with our 2 girls. Allison is 4 and Lillian is 1. And we are in the middle of purging all of our stuff to downsize to we have a 2,200 square foot house here, and we're going to Germany where we're going to have 1,100 square feet. So today this whole week we've just been in the process of getting rid of things, and we actually went through all of our CIF gear. And then if anybody's been through a CIF turn-in, just times that nightmare by 2, and you have all this extra gear because there's 2 of us. And yeah, we it's been kind of a slow burn getting here because of COVID really stopped the whole PCS process, and we didn't know how long Adam was going to be home for leave, but thank God he has 30 days, so he graduated. He was at the academy a week longer than we anticipated. He got home and then was approved 30 days leave. So he'll be here for the packing out of our movers. They'll be here next week. And then he leaves on the 23rd of July to fly out to Germany. And then the girls and I will follow about 10 days later and meet him there.
Nice.
So that's where we're at in our journey right now.
I have a quick question on that. So being that you're both active duty, and you got to go turn all your stuff in, have you guys been secretly stealing each other's shit?
Well, So yes and no. I mean, obviously there's like some things that I'm missing, but we're different sizes. And if we were smarter from the get-go, we would just like sign for like all the same sizes, so it wouldn't be any difference. But like one of the things I was like, man, I really need an extra Cook white top or something because I still have those laying around. And he's like, well, if you take mine, then we're just gonna have to pay for it later. And I'm like, yeah, good point. So it all catches up to us in the end, anyways.
Hey, so I don't have a lot of sympathy for you guys, okay? Because after 38 years on active duty, 14 duffel bags full of stuff, to include a mess kit and a pile cap that I had to turn in. And yeah. I owed the government nothing, and I was a one-take Jake going through there. Boom. Yeah.
You know,
so maybe that's a new side hustle where you actually like clean TA50 for they don't do that anymore. We don't do it anymore.
Yeah. So, ladies, both of you, it's great that it's great for the show that we have you both in the middle of preparing for a duty station change. So, we have a lot of young military that follow the show and military spouses. What advice would you have in terms of preparing for a PCS move? Jen, what would you say? Burn it. Burn it.
Get rid of it. You'll buy it later or accumulate it later.
You don't need it. You don't need it.
Don't buy
before Goodwill closes.
And buy used. Buy everything used.
All of it.
Just wait till you retire, get out before you actually buy nice furniture that you want to keep.
This is awesome. I love this because Sandra was telling me a little bit about that, and I'm looking at John. And he's just like, looks like he's getting his ass chewed right now because of all the shit he wanted to keep over the years.
Well, we were 6,000 pounds overweight for our last move, and that wasn't me and my body weight. Okay, that was 6,000 pounds of household goods overweight. And $1 a pound, that kind of adds up. So
yeah.
So that's why I'm drinking Miller Lite now instead of Chianti.
Well, we did a move like 2 moves ago out of Virginia to North Carolina, and we ran into 2 weeks before we were supposed to do pickup. We still hadn't heard from our moving company, and they had been blackballed because they left their system open and they were accepting too many moves. So we had to move out of a 3-story townhouse before the end of the month because our lease was up and we had to go to North Carolina. And I, thank God, only had 2 kids at the time, but we had to do a full ditty. And I said, never again. Like,
wow. Yeah,
burn it. I don't want any of this stuff if we have to do this again. And he was like, should we get rid of all these boxes? We could save them. I'm like, no, we're not gonna save them. Get rid of them. We will never ditty move again.
So this is the consensus then. This is you're agreeing there as well, Jessica.
Like legit, yeah. I think my kids have like maybe 4 toys left, and like they don't even play with them. They play with them for 15 minutes. They want to play with you is what they really want. They don't want a toy. They want all your attention, when they're young. So like I just sold this like play kitchen set today, and I finally convinced my 4-year-old. I was like, honey, we're gonna sell it, and then we'll take the money and we'll buy something. We'll buy a kitchen in Germany, and then she got all excited and everything, and she's like, okay, well, let's sell this and let's sell that, and she's just like going through her room trying to like sell everything, and I'm like, okay, we're not gonna sell your sister in the bed like that. That stuff has to stay, but it's getting to that point where it's like, man, we don't have a whole lot, and it's fantastic too because you don't have to clean it up. So it's a win. It's a win.
So one of the challenges, and Jen, you kind of mentioned it a little bit, that we've seen across the military, and when I was the SEAC, it was something that came to my attention in the Pentagon, was the capability and professionalism of the movers themselves, understanding that they would move gear and everything, and then they would get day laborers, and sometimes, especially if you lived on a military installation, if that day laborer had a felony on their record, they couldn't get on. And then there were sometimes when the movers were supposed to meet one day and then they didn't show up till the day after, or they might have showed up the day before when you still weren't prepared. What have you all seen in your experience, in your careers, in terms of how well we're doing across U.S. Transportation Command in terms of providing good service for PCS moves?
I think it's hit or miss. I feel that my current move, my Packers are great. I mean, they're super nice. They're doing all of the good things, but it's just, it depends on who you get. And so our move out of Georgia to Virginia, I feel like Virginia itself was just a hot mess express, going in and coming out, because going in, oh, don't worry, ma'am. We've done this before. Your stuff and this other family stuff will be separated by a curtain. Don't worry. We got it. You know what they didn't get? The 2 boxes full of clothes for my daughter.
Oh my goodness.
Toys. That did not make it to Virginia. And, you know, they double booked the people who unloaded. And so, you know, 3-story townhouse, I got people all over the place. Not everything has a number. There's a guy walking around with 5 numbers on him. So, like, it's just who you get. And then, you know, there's a Facebook page, Lost in My PCS. And there's so many people who have lost their junk on, like, through PCSs because of poor moving companies. And I just don't think we hold them accountable. And we don't give military families the proper avenue to get their money back. There was no way for me to get reimbursed for my daughter's clothes because I said the truck was empty, because the truck was empty. But I did not know that 2 full wardrobe boxes did not make it to my house. And so I don't get reimbursed for all of those clothes. And so I have to go buy all of her new clothes, all of her toys. We just don't have a good recourse yet to hold these companies accountable for moving. I mean, they're moving families regularly. This can't be like, okay, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Losing your stuff, who cares? Like,
Right.
We deserve better than that.
Yes. What about you?
Yeah, I think Jen just, she pretty much said it all. Just the process of, you know, trying to get reimbursement. Like, it's just, you may as well contact Congress and have them, I mean, move the budget before they're going to get us some reimbursement, because it's just not going to happen. It's just like from our perspective, or another perspective, is just like the systems in place through the GIPSO, and they're trying to streamline it with move.mil and everything. But like, even with Adam, we ran into an issue. We ran into an issue where they're telling them that they wouldn't do a PPM, the personal procurement move, from El Paso to JBLM. And the counselor that we received was just like, no, it's not black and white in your orders that you get a PPM. But then Adam's like, well, I have a BAH waiver. So common sense, bud. Like, I'm coming from El Paso, coming back to Washington to go to Germany. Like, I was authorized it from Washington to Texas. You know, those kind of like just systems. And then they're like, well, we'll process it, but finance may not, you know, deliver it to you. And just, there's so many different, you know, you have finance, and then you have GIPSO and transportation, and it's just, it's very, I don't know, it's too much of a stovepipe to kind of figure out, like, who do I need to talk to? And then another issue we ran into recently is like our unaccompanied baggage and our household good pickup are 2 different companies. Like, but like, how does that make sense? That I have to call 2 different companies to figure out who my POC is or point of contact is, if there's any issues. But it's just, it's not a perfect process, but they do this all the time, like Jen was saying. So you would think that there would be better systems in place.
Hey, Ron, so I gotta. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jen.
No, I just feel bad because Rob is a lieutenant colonel, and after 18 years of doing this, I don't mind like raising my voice. But if there's a little spouse of a junior enlisted soldier, maybe she doesn't feel like she can raise her voice. And I feel bad for them that they are at the liberty of moving companies who don't care. They come
Or
in,
they
they
don't-
lowball it, and they don't care.
Or they don't have the experience, right? They don't
Yeah.
have all the heartburn that we've experienced and been through.
Yeah.
And so that is unfortunate too.
Yeah. There's no checklist or roster or, hey, here's what you all need to do. Here's the numbers. I mean, is it like they're just checking the box on that and it's just a stack of shit? Is that, I mean, what it is?
So like I have, for this move, I have the main company and the point of contact. And then I have the company that they've contracted out. I keep calling them Prestige Worldwide because Step Brothers, it's a personal favorite. But and they've been really good. They've been very, communicative with us. Like I said, our packers are great, but this is a rarity to find this kind of communication with a company. When they lost my daughter's stuff, they ghosted me. I sent one email, I talked to the lady one time, and then I stopped hearing from them. And I put a not nice review on their Facebook page and they deleted it. But they ghosted me and they're like, sorry, you said there was no boxes left. And so they just get away with that. Like you can call whoever the number is, but if you've got somebody who's like, we don't care, they're not gonna care.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, so Ron, I got a war story for you. So we're talking household good moves. So when I left as the SEAC and I left Northern Virginia, which our experiences moving in there and moving out of Fort Myer were kind of the same as Jen was describing. But to ship our vehicles, because I didn't want to make that trek from Washington, D.C. to JBLM. So we shipped both of our vehicles at our own expense. And I will tell you, the Russians have a control of that whole deal. And so when they went to deliver my one vehicle here, I had to go to a certain location. And I said, no, I want you to drop it off here in Lacey. And they said, no, you got to come up here. I think it was Tumwater or somewhere. And I got an argument with the guy. And I felt like, all of a sudden I was going to have a horse head in my bed that night if I didn't show up. And then the second vehicle, the guy didn't show up that day to ship it. And, so I had to have a friend ship it for me. And when it finally got out here, when it was all said and done, and I had all my vehicles in my hands. And I finally said to the one guy, I said, look, thank you guys for delivering my vehicles, but this is why you'll never rule the world, okay? And the United States will always have your ass, all right? Because your inefficiency in delivering vehicles is terrible.
Man.
Hey, Ron, we got Candace on here.
Candace says, question for you ladies. What is your best resource for finding a realtor, and how do you feel about buying a home at each duty station that you're going to? Great question. As often as y'all PCS, I mean, I've heard you all say 2 pieces moves ago and how many and so on and so forth. What are your feelings on all that?
So I have a strong feeling on this. So thank you for your question. We bought our home at Bragg, and we bought in twice now, and we got about 5 to 10 years left, depending on how far Adam's going to go. I won't buy another home again. So our personal opinion, and this is kind of like a family decision also, like our financial goals, and we've decided where we want to be at retirement, like after the military retirement, and then retirement 65 years. And our thought process is buying a home is great, right? And you also can bank a little bit of money with your BAH, and if you can find the right cost and whatnot. But you also gotta, sometimes we often forget like the home upkeep, all the maintenance that goes into it. Bottom line is I probably won't buy again. I'll probably stay on like military housing or rent, so we can save up our money for a down payment in the future. I know a lot of families like to do like the rental properties, and we had a rental property in North Carolina, and the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze, because it was just they would call us about everything. Even though we had a property management office, it was a lot of extra added stress for us. And yeah, we rent. We'll rent now. We'll stay on base. And if you want to buy, then I would recommend reaching out to maybe somebody local in the area, or we've used Zillow, we've used Redfin, and another resource is what is it, AHRN, the home. Like once you go to your new duty station, there's an actual like home, like the housing office will give you resources for realtors. So that's my 2 cents.
What are your thoughts on that, Jen? Your PCS is all over, you know.
So we bought our first. So we actually bought our first house here in Washington, and then within a year we sold it because then we PCS to Georgia. And then we didn't buy another house. That was 2005. We didn't buy another house until we moved to Bragg in 2016. And we still have it. We rent it out. We've got a property management company. We've got people who love the house and they want to stay there longer, which is fine. But it is a lot of adulting for me. And if these people were like, we want to buy it, I'd say, so take it. I mean, I love the house and I would love to live there if we go back. But I am just not the kind of person who wants to buy a house. I know there are people who do it, like at every duty station. That's just too much for me.
Same.
I am happily living in this house on Post with all of its lead paint and, you know, probably asbestos. It's fine. And the mold, like, but it's 1930s and it creaks and I love it. And, I mean, with a scary basement, I do care. People die down there. I don't go down there. But we'll live on Post in Pennsylvania, and that's fine with me. Like, I will gladly live on Post.
Is that because, I mean, obviously there's two different experiences there. Like with on your side, Jen, you bought a house and you're like, oh shit, we got orders now, we got to move, and you know, all that stuff. And then Jess, you're just like, you know, kind of the same thing. But I mean, obviously there's a lot of service members and veterans that are using their home. Is your experience because it was like a short PCS move, and you didn't know, like, hey, I'm gonna be leaving here soon, I don't think I'm gonna be here for a while? Or is it just like when it gets to that point, it's just such a big pain in the ass for you all that it's just like a little too much?
So for us, oh, I'm sorry, Jen. I think we lost her. There she is. Yeah. So for us moving here, because we came from.
I'm gone and now I'm back.
We came from Korea, and I left for Korea before Adam to PCS here, but I was at Warrant Officer Candidate School, and he reported early. I found out I was pregnant after walks, like the first initial, I found out at basic course that I was pregnant. And my thing was like, I wanna, well, I guess it was twofold, because the housing here on JBLM told Adam that he couldn't sign for quarters. At the time, he was Sergeant First Class promotable. They wouldn't let him sign for Master Sergeant quarters, and they wouldn't let him sign for quarters for Warrant Officer quarters, which was a little bit bigger and had a garage and all that. So we were like, okay, cool. So we started looking around or outside of base, and we decided to buy. But ours was a little more emotionally driven, because we're like, we're going to have a baby. We might settle here, even though we still had like 10 years left. So it wasn't our decision to buy here was emotionally driven and not financially or logically driven, which looking back now, right, hindsight 2020. But in Washington, I mean, we'll be able to turn a profit here, but that's not always the case at all your areas, because like at Bragg, we had our house for 10 years. And we barely made, we broke even, and it's just, So that was our decision here.
Yeah.
I agree with you, ladies. Sandra and I, we for 7 years we were paying a mortgage and also living on post. So it was tough, and we left, and our house was in North Carolina at Fort Bragg, just like you all. And finally, you know, we were able to sell it. And after that, we said, hey, we are just living on government quarters from here on out. It's just too much of a pain to try and remotely manage a property, even though you might have property managers or folks living in it and everything. It was just too much of a pain, especially when you had to deal with all the things that are happening in the now, whether it's a deployment or whatever with the spouse and everything. Which kind of gets to our second subject, Ron, the separation.
That's it. That's it right there.
Yeah.
3 people. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. So, ladies, you know, we all know in the military, separation is something that just, it happens. There's no way. We're an expeditionary military. We're going to constantly deploy and either fight an enemy and win, or we're going to do exercises, or we're going to train. But the separation is constant. Both of you all are experienced military spouses. What are some techniques that you use to deal with the separation and how you continue to push this to your children about the separation? Jen, over to you.
So I don't know if I'm the perfect person for this. I try not to get super emotional. I try not to get super emotional. I'm like, all right, it's happening. Let's embrace this suck. Okay. So Ranger deployments are shorter. Our first deployment just after we were married was 12 months. And then the first deployment my son went through when he was 1, we were in Italy and Rob was gone for 15 months. And I'm like, if I can do 15 months in a different country, I can do all of the things. Okay. So I try not to get super emotional. And so, you know, whenever we drop him off and he goes, we head to Target and we buy something. Like retail therapy, let's buy something. It's fine. Buy whatever you want. And then I look at it and I'm like, well, now I don't have to make legit dinners. Winning. I just try to look at those things. And then, you know, you've got to find a group. You've got to find your people to hang out with. It's okay to be like, I just can't see anyone right now. I just need to be in my feelings. But at some point you have to open up. Like you have to let people in. You can't spend 3 months, 4 months, whatever in your feelings, because then it's a disaster. I advocate my ladies, you know, meet people. Now, I mean, obviously not now since we're all stuck inside, but, you know, go to your company things, go to the battalion things. You have to meet someone else who can commiserate with you, who can come over and you guys order pizza and you throw your kids in the playroom and you go hide in the kitchen, drinking wine and eating pizza. Like that's how I survive. It's just finding people, because I can, and I mean, I also have 4 kids who keep my mind off of it. But I just see it is what it is. And no amount of crying or getting upset is going to change it. So I just embrace the suck.
Yes, I had the honor of assisting you in pinning your husband's sergeant major rank on. And I was intrigued at how he spoke afterward, how Adam spoke. And he talked about, through all of this challenging times you all have had as dual military. I mean, I've been to combat with both of you. I lived in Korea with both of you. And every time I've seen you guys, you've been together, but either on deployment or overseas. But I know the last 11 months had to be challenging. But he mentioned something about, you know, investing in church and investing in that sphere of influence of folks within the church. Can you kind of talk about that and how that kind of helped you all, especially, you know, with the girls and everything over the past year?
Yeah, absolutely, John. So our faith journey, our walk with Christ, like that has helped us get through the difficult times, and then just placing people of faith in our lives and seeking out mentorship for both Adam and I. You know, there was a time, and the separation, right? It started getting to our marriage. It started pulling us apart from each other. It was a constant battle between, you know, who's going to take care of the kids, and is this all worth it? But once we actually got around that foundation, we rebuilt our foundation basically, and we rebuilt it. We used our faith, you know, to get us back up, and then we started, you know, looking at, you know, priorities and what's most important. Right, obviously the military is important and it pays our bills, but if you don't have a family after the military, then you know, it was all for nothing, right? And you know, the separation, this one was probably the hardest, even though we got to see each other every day, and you know, we would FaceTime with the girls and everything, but you know, our 3-year-old, now 4-year-old, she would just say, "Where's daddy? Is daddy coming home from Texas? And when's daddy coming home?" And you know, just her realizing that dad's not around. And just for me too, I mean, it was tough to, you know, go to work and be a leader and make decisions that affect people, and then come home and be on for my girls. It seemed like I never just got a time to cry, right? Like like, and then I would call friends, and I would call my mentors, and I would just cry to them and talk to them about the challenges I was having. And it's helped us grow a lot closer as a family, you know, the separation. I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes you more appreciative of the time that you have. And it's, you know, inevitably it's not the quantity of time that you spend with your family, but it's definitely the quality. And I think the military really forces us to be more appreciative of that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Over to
Thanks
you.
for sharing that. You know, and as we're talking about like the separation of when, you know, your deployments, what are your experiences? And feel free to either one of you to chime in. But what are your experiences in when someone within the unit, you know, another spouse comes to you and says, you know, we're going to be ETSing out. We're retiring. We got X, Y, and Z going on, and we're hanging it up. I mean, from a spouse's perspective, because I know on the service member's perspective, they got send them SFL tabs, send them out here, you know, you get a clear post, and you know, there's this big whirlwind on that service member side where you know, John and I can talk about that all day. I can talk about, you know, getting someone set up on a you know, a pre-discharge ability here. You know, I could get all those things, but what does it look like on the other side of that? What are you experiencing, and what, I mean, like, what have you seen? And
So
like
seeing like a spouse from my perspective,
like when a family is getting out of the military period, right? And getting out, are spouses, is there anything available for spouses that are transitioning? Like information, is there any inclusion of the spouses in the transition process, so that they understand and are aware of all the things that are going on? And I know to some surface level there is, here's all the TRICARE shit and stuff like that, but most often than not, you know, an E5 couple, E6 couple isn't going to get that. So,
you know, I don't have the answer to that question, Ron, because I've seen service members transition out, but I've never really, and I think there's like maybe one class that they go to like together. I think there absolutely needs to be more of an inclusion for your spouse to understand like the financial. I think the financial piece, like that, and how to find jobs, like it should be something that is a transition together. But it's kind of, I mean, because you already have some spouses who are starting their careers for the first time, maybe, or reestablishing themselves in the industry because they've, you know, followed their husband or their wife around, and they just haven't had that steady, you know, the steadiness in their life to just say, yeah, I want to do nursing or be a teacher or whatever their call is, right? But maybe we need to relook at, you know, how we're transitioning out. And yeah, soldier for life, but I mean, family, like you're transitioning out with your family, and there's going to be some new changes. Yeah.
That's
That's
no,
a
I
good
love that perspective, especially, you know, yourself, that's active duty. And, you know, I always challenge everybody is that, you know, with what you have the remaining of your husband's career is, maybe that's something that should be looked at, and what you can do with the rest of your time and your influence, because I mean, literally we never talked about it. So, you know, hopefully you just thinking about that, like, holy shit, like, why isn't there something available? And I say this because we, you know, like I said, I've spent a lot of time on the other side of the spectrum when shit's screwed up, right? And we could tell the veteran themselves exactly what to do. And a lot of times, like my buddy Billy here, actually I'm going to pop this up. Vic, can you pop up Billy's question real quick, please? There on the bottom. I don't think I can. I have the clicker. There we go. She says he says that's a great point. Most of the time, spouses do not attend any of the transition briefings. We encourage spouses to attend all appointments for service members in the IDIS program. So Billy Knight is actually the one of the VA directors here in Washington State, and has you know, helps with the pre-discharge and all that stuff. And you know, it's a family process. It's a family thing to get through that. While the service member has to go to their appointments, they have to go get there and get seen. But the other part of that also is that the importance of making sure their asses get to those appointments, making sure that they do follow up and follow through, because you just never know where somebody asks, oh, I had a CIF appointment, or they blow that one appointment off. And Billy will tell you, once you get out, you missed that appointment. It's going to be, it's hard to get that, you know, that goes back again. So I'll end my little rant there. But Jan, we got you back. I don't know how much of that you were able to hear. The question was for families that you've seen through your career that are transitioning out of the military. Have you seen any spouses that say, hey, this would be cool if we could XYZ, or that you've seen that you could you know, suggest some support for them? Or do we lose Jen? There she is. There we go. We got you back.
Well, hey, while we're waiting, Ron, so I just echo what Billy said. Every VA appointment I had, I took Sandra with me, because I wanted her to know exactly what I was going through, and especially when it came to things like PTSD and seeing the mental health professionals, and then anything related to the physical or anything like that. I took Sandra with me to every appointment. I just want to amplify what Billy said. It is important for the spouse to be involved. And as Jess said, you know, even for somebody like me, I'm the senior enlisted guy in the Department of Defense, and I'm separating. And the course they sent me to, I was more confused coming out of that than I was going in on what to do to prepare for transition. And Sandra was there with me, and she was just as confused. So I think, and one of the things that I focused on right before I left was streamlining the ability for a transitioning service member and spouse to not only have the opportunity to go through the whole process, but to understand it. So when they walk out the door, they're fully prepared. Because I sat through 3 TRICARE briefs one time, and I was just as confused after brief number 2 and 3 than I was after the first one. As a matter of fact, I was less confused when I didn't know shit about the process. So I just think, you know, exactly right. What Jess said, you know, and what Billy said, the family has to be involved. You know, because when it's all said and done, and I think Jess was alluding to this, when this military life is all said and done, it's just us. That's what Sandra and I's focus used to be. It's just us. And if we haven't done things right, then we're going to have some challenges. And as you just described, if you're not doing those appointments, when you're out, get in line, brother or sister, because there's thousands of other vets that are in the same boat as you now. So my focus is get it done, get the family involved, and make sure they're there for the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look what we got here. Look what we got
here. Cliff Clavin is in the house.
Cliff Clavin is in the house. All right, Ed, we got you, brother. Let's see. Ed has a question for Jessica. Do you think that being married to another service member or former service member can improve the relationship between the couple in any way? The reason I ask is because my relationship failed in part because my ex didn't understand the military.
Dang, Cliffy.
Okay, no, that's a fantastic question. So I guess I should give you a little backstory. So my husband and I are both 92 Golfs. We're both food service specialists. So it at times it was easy to be relatable, and at other times it's very difficult because we both have our own way of doing things. With that being said, I am now a food service warrant officer, and he is now a sergeant major, and we still have differences and opinions that, you know, are varying to some degrees. But I think at the end of the day, marriage is tough. Marriage is difficult. It does not matter what career field you're in. Yes, you can kind of understand. You don't have to explain to them every single acronym that's in the military, or, you know, but I think I think it's just it depends on your ability to communicate with your spouse, and being for them and being there for them, and going through this journey. I don't think we got a leg up. I mean, John can tell you. I mean, we had some trying times during our deployment, and some people would say, "Oh, that must have been fantastic to be deployed with your spouse," and I'm like, that was the worst deployment I was on, was being deployed with my spouse, because when you're deployed, you have this mindset, right? It's work, and our boss, like he was in charge of some things that he had to be on 24 hours. And as his support staff, we had to be there for him. And to transition and be a wife in a deployment setting, like that was super difficult. And on top of that, we weren't even like cohabitating for like 4 months because somebody didn't want married couples to be together. But that's a whole different show for another topic for another day. But yeah, you have more things that you're relatable with, but you know, marriage just takes work no matter what your career field.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I could say that the brief time you knew that was coming. The brief time that I was married, it was a hell of a lot of work. You know, Rangers don't have no quit, but we know when to walk away usually. So
yeah.
Hey, so Ron, let me add on to that, because so when I first met the Bezansons, Jess was the enlisted aide to the First Corps commander here at JBLM, Mike Scaparrotti, and I was the sergeant major, and Adam was ran the dining facility at First Corps, and so we go into country, and so Jess is doing everything as she described with General Scap, while Adam is trying to get the freaking NATO chow hall unscrewed, you know, and everything. And some of the things that, you know, dual military couples are a constant in our United States military. And she described the lack of cohabitation. And I thought, this is about the dumbest shit I ever heard. We don't want a husband and wife to live together because others may get jealous. And I thought to myself, this is my attitude toward it. If I wanted to have Sandra with me on the deployment, I would have, right after we got married in 1983, I would have walked her ass down to the MEP station, you know, the recruiting station, got her enlisted, got her in the military so we could deploy together. So, you know, I thought finally we got that fixed. But then we moved to Korea, and now Adam is the enlisted aide, and Jess is working at K-16 Chow Hall, I think. If I remember right, Jess. And so now things are kind of flip-flop. So here's in here on Yongsan. They live between General Scap's house at the top of the hill. Mine was midway of the hill. Their house was right in between. So Adam just had to walk to work. Jess had to get on a bus or do something to get over what she was working at. Yeah. So when people look at dual military couples as having it easy, it is a lot easier, in my opinion, for me to be in combat and my wife to be back here, you know, because again, you know, in Afghanistan, that was a pretty brutal tour. We lost 332 across the theater and had over 1,000 wounded. But they're doing this together, and there's no way that they can be husband and wife here because they're so focused. Then you got the dang naysayers out there. Well, why do the Bezansons get to do this, or why does this other couple get to do this? Well, tell your spouse to join the freaking military, man, and then maybe you can have it, you know. So my 2 cents are, and we got Jen back. Yes,
I know. I'm so
Yay!
sorry. I just shut my phone down. And now I'm back. I've missed all of it.
That's all right. You're catching it to the good stuff.
Hey, so if we can change subjects right quick, ladies, real quick. Last month was Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Month, and Ron and I are big on getting after PTSD awareness, combating veteran suicide and everything. From a spouse perspective, and even just from a soldier perspective, how do you think the military is doing right now in terms of eliminating the stigma for seeking help and providing programs that help service members or spouses? Jen, what do you think?
So for my ladies, you know, we always tell them, you know, TRICARE allows you to self-refer, and you don't need a referral from your doctor. You can just go to find someone in your community that TRICARE accepts, and you can talk to them, and you don't even have to, nothing happens to you. Like, you don't have, TRICARE will cover it. It doesn't go and, like, you don't fill out any paperwork, which is huge, I think, for behavioral health, because it's hard to access it. People don't want to have to access it if they have to go to see a doctor, to get a referral, to go see a doctor. And I really push that. We have a really great chaplain. We have the MFLACs. They're even in schools, which I highly advocate for people if their children are struggling, like with the constant moves. And then we have just behavioral health specialists, at least in the special operations field, who know what these guys are going through. And so, like, they will see a spouse, the MFLAC will see a spouse, and then she can voice her concerns for her soldier. And, you know, we try to check up on them. Not we, I mean, obviously not me personally, but like, if I hear something, if I hear a spouse come to me and they're like, well, I'm worried about my husband. I said, well, let's reach out to the chaplain, and I will put a bug in, you know, in Rob's ear, and we'll look out for them. But I'm not sure if it's just the military as an organization who can help prevent the stigma. It's just people, you know, people in leadership, people in chain of command, senior enlisted, those, you know, officers, those people need to know that this is a thing. And they need to realize that, you know, you go to a doctor if you break your leg, just as it should be okay if you go to a doctor if you feel like you are not yourself and you are having trouble. There's no difference, but it's just reaching out to those people in charge so that they can better lead their soldiers, because a soldier's not going to come forward to his, you know, platoon leader or his platoon sergeant if his platoon sergeant's like, don't be a wimp, you know, like, put on your big boy underwear and deal with your shit. So I feel like we're getting better because we're recognizing that it's a thing, but we have to continually push. Like, it's not something we can just like, all right, boom, we checked the box, we did it. But it's something you need to continually push. And I know in at least the special operations field, those people with their consistent deployments, you have to, it's not just the soldier, you need to watch out for their spouses, because this is exhausting stuff. And they know what words to say to pass a test, like pass a psych test. It's not that hard to just be like, oh, keep it together for an hour.
Yeah.
But there's also only so much one can do if someone doesn't feel comfortable coming forward.
Yeah. The old, I'm only here for my wife.
So,
I'm not going to say that. Right?
Oh, yeah.
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 What do you think?
Yes.
Jeff?
What about you?
Oh, so I think that there's definitely a lot more resources now than when I first came in the Army almost 16 years ago. It's definitely it's no longer like a taboo subject, which I think, like, as a culture, as a military culture and organization, we've done a good job changing that and shaping that conversation. But yeah, I mean, a majority of our service members, I mean, and I don't mean to, target one group, but guys don't like to talk about their feelings, right? So there's you just don't, right? So it's really hard. I think, senior leaders like, Ron and John, you guys talking about your experiences with PTSD, and other senior leaders who, and more senior leaders are opening up about it, and just sharing what they've been through and their struggles and what has helped them. I know, like, for Adam, and he's had a little bit of PTSD, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing with you guys. But one of the biggest things is going outside. And there's a fantastic organization called the Fallen Outdoors, and they take veterans out. They don't care how long you served or who you served with or for. It's this brotherhood and sisterhood of just going outside and being in nature and surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals and talking about these experiences. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just like casting for hours and you just kind of, figure some stuff out. But, searching for those things that help you cope, right? It may not be sitting down and talking to a behavioral health specialist. It may be, the Fallen Outdoors or hunting or fishing. But and spouses, we got to support our loved ones, whatever, something healthy, right? Healthy ways to get through these things. And just showing love and compassion to each other, and letting each other know, like, hey, we got your back, and we've all been through this, or I know somebody that's been through this, and then just seeking that out.
No, I tell people the toughest thing I had to do was, once I was diagnosed with PTSD, is I had to walk in and tell the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joe Dunford, and the Secretary of Defense, Jim Mattis, two of the most proficient warfighters and alpha males, that I was in therapy for PTSD. You talk about intestinal fortitude, but I knew that if I didn't do that, then I'm making it okay for those stigmas that Jen talked about at the lower level, where a platoon sergeant may say, hey, suck it up, Buttercup, and get your ass back in the field or whatever. I'm sorry, Jen, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. So Rob, in the end of his speech, and he has said this before, that, well, his speech today has changed command. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. And I think that applies here, because if you want, like, if you've got your buddies, you have to look out for them. And no one knows, fellow ranger than a fellow ranger or another soldier. Like, you gotta look out for your guys. And if your friend is struggling, you have to support them. You have to, like, maybe you're not gonna go tell somebody, but you have to help them overcome this fear that it will, like, affect their career. Because if you are going to help a soldier with PTSD, kicking them out is not helping. There are ways as leaders we can support them, and they can stay doing what they love to do, but also getting the help that they need.
Yeah, I just got that little piece. I remember, like you were saying, Jessica, years ago, it wasn't a thing. It was like talking about it. It wasn't even there. You remember this, John, and just this look back and see where we've come, where we are today. I've spent time in the Ranger Battalion and other units, and seeing where, when you and I went to Fairfield, John, and people were thanking us, senior leadership, thanking us for bringing these topics up, saying something about it. So I get back what you're both are talking about. I think that leadership is starting to get it. Hopefully it doesn't take us another 15 years to get there. Hopefully, there's a lot of realization that we could knock some of these barriers down and get into these families and let them know that they're welcome, right? Let spouses know that, hey, come be a part of this transition process. Come be a part of what's going on. And I don't think they know, quite frankly, I haven't been the life program or anything like that. I don't think they could go. We did the stuff at Fairchild, John. There's a component where we could probably include the spouses at some time or another, to at least the invite or something like that, to let them know, like, wow, this is cool stuff they're putting out, because it might be something that they can bring off to help their further. So, well, with that,
what about some rapid fire now?
It's time it is.
All right, so ladies, we're gonna have a little fun with you here right now, and Ron, I'm gonna ask Jess the rapid fire questions. I'm gonna ask you to ask Jen the rapid fire.
Definitely.
Okay, so Jess, the first trip I ever went on with you as a soldier was a pre-deployment site survey we did to Afghanistan, and you lost your fighting gear. We went into Afghanistan, and your kit was, whatever airline we were flying on, lost your gear. Al-Qaeda or ISIS probably ended up with your gear, but the bottom line, that was a pretty intense situation for you, and I got to see Staff Sergeant Bezanson and tensed up. The other time I've seen you tensed up was, and I'm trying to keep a pace here, but somebody asked us to go to dinner one night in Korea, and Sandra and I and you and Adam, we all took the train down to meet them. And of course, a train in Korea, a lot of beer, a lot of soju and everything. And you get there to have dinner, and all of a sudden, you decide to get up and dance. And a short guy, he wasn't a Korean, he was a Japanese guy, started dancing with him. And Adam took slight offense to that and got up to have a discussion with the guy. So what was the more tense situation? Having no combat gear in Afghanistan, or trying to stop your husband from beating up a little Boshi fellow that just wanted to dance with you?
So honestly, the no having gear in Afghanistan, because we were in Kuwait, right? And the bagger tagged it. So I know exactly, you don't put in all the details, John. I see how you do. So the bagger that checked us in at SeaTac was so busy, and the guys behind us that were checking in, he allowed him to go before me, and he switched the tags. So we get to Kuwait, and they're looking around for my bags, and the boss is like, he's got to go because we have a hard time. Like we are leaving the country in like 4 hours, with or without Sergeant Bezanson. So that was stressful because you guys went to, because we were in Al Salim, right? And you guys went to one side of Ollie to catch the plane that was going to take you into Kaya, and I went the opposite direction to try and draw gear, whatever they could give me, whatever was in the warehouse. So it was the worst because I had boots and they weren't broken in. And I just, like, after that trip, I just had blisters all over my feet because we walked and walked and walked all over. So yeah, and I was like, we were doing 100 miles down Kuwait. I don't even know what highway. And I was like changing in the back, and there was like 2 drivers in the front trying to get me to where you guys were going, because you guys were taking off. It didn't matter. Like, you were leaving. But yeah, that.
All right, Ron, over to you.
All right, Jen. In true Ranger fashion, I just have to put this out there because it's our fighting spirit and everything. And John always asks this too, so he's going to love this one. So just a couple questions so I can build up the questions. So the incoming commander's wife, do you know her?
Are you checking me now?
Yep.
Sorry, I can hear you. I can hear you now. Barely. So we were at 175.
They were at 175. But okay.
Yeah.
So, and then the one that you replaced, did you know her?
Yeah. No.
No, you did not. Was she at 175 also, or 375 or something crazy?
I have no idea. No, you know what? She was at 175, but she left right before we got there.
Okay. Well, let's go for the most recent one, because you had a chance to stand next to her, see her, and all that kind of stuff. So if we were to throw you both into the octagon, can you kick her ass?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah!
I will say she is she's Marine. She's a former Marine. She's a little bit taller than me, but I also have 3-year-old twins. So that my Asian side will come out.
That's right. That's right. I love that. Without hesitation. Yes.
All right, Jess, last question from me. So, the Bezansons and the Troxels have done a lot of things together. You know, we've served together here at Joint Base Lewis McChord. We've served in Afghanistan. We've served in Korea. And we've done a lot of PT together. We've done a lot of drinking together and a lot of karaoke together. What did you enjoy the most out of those three? And what did you enjoy the least out of your husband during those three kinds of events?
Okay, so I would have to say, selfishly, what I enjoyed the most was Mungandai, because that was my last hoorah as a senior non-commissioned officer, to walk around South Korea carrying all this crap, and I did not eat the cat food rice ball or something. Like, no, I'm like, I'm good. I'll wait another 4 hours to eat, or however long. That was a fantastic experience, and I'll never forget it, with all the awesome senior enlisted leaders and just the teamwork, and you know, being with Sergeant Major Williams and carrying that litter up that hill at like 2 in the morning. Like, I tell you what, like I remember, was it the 5K at night?
Litter carry, yeah.
But the one after that, where we rocked for like,
it was a 10K.
Yeah, I didn't think I could sleep and walk at the same time. And I tell you what, that training got me through walks, even though walks was not even that difficult. I'm talking to a Ranger guy and 2 Ranger guys.
So what was your least fun time to Adam out of those three? PT, karaoke, or drinking?
Least fun?
Yeah.
None of them. The worst, I say the worst thing about drinking with you guys is that walk up the hill. We called it Sober Hill, because by the time you walked up that hill drunk, you were sober at the top. That was probably my least favorite thing about leaving your house.
All right, Ron, over to you. All right. So this isn't a trick question, but hopefully you'll get this one right here. So Jen, we've had, well, I think this is the first time we've actually been face to face sober. Now that I think about it. I know, putting you on blast, John. Just so you all know, well, for when our producer Victoria was looking for photos, and I sent a couple. I sent her the Facebook one where she's all wild and stuff. I was like, you have to understand. I got limited selection here. There's either beer or family, and when Jen went to go do an inventory, she said, I fall into 2 categories. I mean, I've got a beer in my hand, or it's all kids. Yeah. So
hey, neither one is a flaw in her character.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm all about it. All right.
So, Jen, I'm going to ask you this one real quick. It's a pretty simple one. It's a drink. It's a little bit of a drinking game, and there's a song named after it. Let's say you walk into a bar and you order a drink. Your drink gets there, but then they also put in front of you 1 whiskey, 1 bourbon, and 1 beer. Which one do you take, or do you take all of them? Because they're all mistakes, but they're all there in front of you.
Well, have I had something before I walked in?
We don't know.
If I've had something before, throw it down and take them all. It's fine. Go big or go home, right?
Go there you go.
But if I haven't and I'm still thinking clearly, I'm going to be like, I need to feel my face tomorrow. So then it's just the beer.
Okay, gotcha.
But also the gin and tonic that I ordered.
There you go. There you go. all together. I got one last one here for you because I asked all the military spouses on here because it's fun to ask this question. So there's this myth, there's this rumor among military spouses that some military spouses wear their husband's rank.
They're the worst. They're the worst.
Has
They're
there
the
ever been a
worst.
time where you had to use yours, and why?
So when I go over Christmas or Thanksgiving, I'll bring food to the staff duty dudes because those poor guys, I'll bring them all the food. And they're like this last time over Christmas, they're like, well, who are you? I'm like, oh God, I don't want to tell you who I am because it's weird. But so we went to France for D-Day last year for the 75th anniversary. And we were supposed to get to Paris at like 4 in the afternoon, but because of poor weather leaving the UK, we didn't get there till 11 at night. And then our friend picked us up and we drove. There were 2 of us. So she picked the 2 of us up. We drove to our Airbnb in France, in Normandy, and we couldn't get in because the key wasn't there. At 2 or 3 in the morning, there was no key, and we're like, well, shit, what are we gonna do? And so my friend who was with us, her husband was the LNO at the time. She's fiercely texting him, like, what do we do? Where are we gonna go? We haven't eaten, we're so tired. So we went to the tent that they were sleeping at outside, and he's like, you can probably get like something to eat in there. We had passed them, they were on their way to Pointe Tahac. So we stop and we go into this place, this big tent with like pastries and coffee. We're like, sold. This is what we need. And there was supposed to be someone stopping us as we entered the gate, but there was nobody there. So we just drove in, we parked, we went in the tent, like whatever. And this guy comes over and he's like, man, ladies, did someone stop you? You're not supposed to be in here without an escort. Like, how did you get in? Like, we just drove in, man. And he's like, well, I mean, like, who are you? And I said, listen, sister, my husband's the 275 battalion commander. And he's like, here's the Wi-Fi password. I'm like, thank you. I need a coffee. Like, I will name drop for a cup of coffee and a pastry, all right?
Well, especially when you're in Normandy and your husband is the battalion commander of the current leading strike force of 75 years prior. Little leeway.
Yeah, right? I was like, if there is any time to do it, it's right now.
Just give me a fucking donut.
Just give me a pastry. I haven't slept in 52 hours.
Well, hey, ladies, thank you so much for being on the show today. This has been phenomenal, having you 2 ladies on here today. And I wish you both best of luck in your PCS move. And to the Bezanson, don't go too far, because I know we got a little time left with Adam. And we got beer to drink and karaoke to sing. So thank you both, ladies. God bless you both. God bless your wonderful husbands, and good luck in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Ron and John Show, brought to you by Betters Lending Group. And so we're very pleased to bring, I believe this is episode 14 to you. So always remember that if we can help you out with your refinance, if you are PCSing somewhere that's favorable, besides bragging you want to buy a house, then we're here for you. Let us know. We are licensed in all 50 states. We can PCS, ETS, retire wherever it is that you go. On behalf of the Ron and Joan, I want to just thank every veteran, every service member, every spouse and family member out there. We thank you all for your sacrifice, and we really deeply appreciate you. Those are my words. I guess I would like to just hand it off to the spouses. Jessica, you first, and Jen will finish it off with you. What would be some parting words for our audience?
Just thanks for having me on here. It's an honor. John asked me to do it, and I said I'd be honored to. Yeah, just talk to your wives, talk to your husbands. Just keep loving on each other, and you'll get through this crazy thing, called the military. And yeah, thanks for appreciate it.
Awesome. Jen, parting words?
I'm I have a lot of words. No, thank you, Ron, for having me on. I mean, military spouses, I'm passionate about it, obviously. I will stand fiercely for these ladies. So thank you for always supporting them, and for you personally for supporting 275. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Awesome. I do have one more question to John, and I think you'll appreciate this one. It's of Jessica, because I know where your husband's at. I know he's at the Sergeant Major Academy right now, and John 𝗦𝗃𝗏𝗏 and I have another buddy that's there as well. I don't know if you know the box, but I'm just curious if you know, since they're still there, if we throw your husband and Keith Bach into a ring, can we kick Keith Bach's ass?
Who?
Your husband kicked Keith Bach's ass. I mean, they're in school together. If you don't know who he is, you can just put some bets on right now and make that happen before they deploy.
My husband, 100%. Are you kidding me?
John,
of course I'm going to go for my boo. Come on.
John, what do you think?
What's that? Well, I don't know who the other guy is you're talking about. They already graduated. Adam's in back home already, and I'm sure their guys.
Oh, they're
yeah, they already graduated. Adam's, I would assume Adam's doing dishes right now.
Ah, okay, got you. Well, they just graduated. You sounded like you're coming in on stat there, brother. We're gonna get you squared away on there. I'm gonna make sure we get a combo ranger out there to get you squared away. All right, everyone.
I know a guy.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Have a great one.
Take care, guys.
Thanks.